Which countries are going to be the most eager to adopt Libra? That's a question that's been on my mind recently because I've seen a lot of political pushback and skepticism about Libra. Now, a lot of this is coming from fairly developed countries, and I don't think these countries are necessarily the target market for Libra, at least not initially. So what I want to do here is present a simple argument for some countries that I think are going to be most eager to adopt Libra. Under this argument, the top two countries that are going to adopt are Haiti and Liberia. And the Liberia case is not just because Libra has a really easy branding opportunity in Liberia. There's going to be an actual economic argument behind why these two countries are probably the forefront of countries that want to adopt Libra. Now, the argument I'm going to lay out is something that I've just come to myself, but I'm interested in knowing what you think about the countries that are most likely to adopt Libra. So go ahead and comment below about which other countries could be quick to adopt, but also give a reason. Don't just say, this is the country. I want good economic explanations behind why people are going to adopt Libra quickly in those countries. While thinking about this question about which countries are going to be most eager to adopt Libra, two factors came to mind that could be driving adoption. First is the need to transfer money. This really is what Libra seems to be targeting. They mention this specifically in the white paper, that they are focusing on sending money, the cost of sending money from one person to another. And the places that are most likely to have this problem are places that rely heavily on remittances. That is, expats or the diaspora, however you want to call it, people who leave the country, go work somewhere else, and then send money back home. So I'm thinking that countries that have a high reliance on remittances are going to be countries that want to adopt Libra quickly because it's going to lower the cost of transmitting that money across borders. The second factor that I think is going to be important is inflation. Libra is making big overtures to being a stable coin and making sure that it is a stable store of value that people can rely on. And inflation is a threat to people with their home currencies and could be what pushes them towards going to Libra. Inflation has already pushed some countries towards cryptocurrencies, and Venezuela is really the flagship case of this. Venezuela has had insane inflation over the past few years. In fact, there's an incredibly good photo essay about inflation and how much cash you have to carry just to get simple household items. I'll put a link to that below so that way you can go check that out because I think it's just a very potent example of inflation. This hyperinflation in Venezuela has led some people to adopting cryptocurrencies. A really popular cryptocurrency there is Dash. Dash is based on Bitcoin, but it's its own coin. It has achieved a pretty rapid adoption in Venezuela. In fact, Church's Chicken, the chain chicken store, has already accepted Dash in all of their locations in Venezuela. They have a video, I'll put a link to it up here, of the first transaction in Dash at their church's location. And so this is a place that's already starting to adopt those cryptocurrencies as a fight against inflation. So just taking those two factors into account, remittances and inflation, I decided to dive into the data a little bit and figure out where these countries are that have high remittances and high inflation. The data are freely available through the World Bank database. What you can find is remittances as a percent of GDP and also the inflation rate. I downloaded the data from the World Bank, plotted them against each other. So here on the x-axis, you can see the inflation rate. On the y-axis, you can see remittances as a share of GDP. And then I just kind of arbitrarily cut these countries into four quadrants. Since double-digit inflation is kind of a sign of really high inflation, I just cut down at 10%. And since I was already at 10% inflation, I just said if remittances are 10% of GDP or greater, that's another area of interest. These two totally arbitrary divisions create four quadrants, and so you get down in the southeast corner and in the northwest corner, quadrants that are, probably motivated to adopt cryptocurrencies because of either the way they protect against inflation or for lowering transaction costs in their remittances. But I want to focus on this quadrant up in the northeast corner. And what we see are four countries here that have high remittances as a percent of their GDP and also have high inflation. The four countries we see here are Egypt, Ukraine, Liberia, and Haiti. These 4 countries seem like great target markets for a cryptocurrency that is targeting a stable store of value and lowering the cost of remittances. So now we can see where Haiti and Liberia have come up, and the question is, why did I ignore Egypt and Ukraine at the very beginning of this video? And my conclusion here came from looking at the popularity of Facebook. Facebook looks like it's going to be a key mechanism to delivering Libra around the world, since Facebook is really the pioneering effort behind Libra, though not the only member of the Libra Association. And so I wanted to see how popular Libra was in these 4 countries. And what we can see is that Facebook in Haiti and Liberia is incredibly popular. These statistics come from StatCounter, a website. The data are free. I'll put a link to it in the description below. They give the share of social media traffic on each social media site. So here, if we see 80% for Facebook, that means 80% of all social media traffic in that country goes to Facebook. What we see is that Haiti and Liberia have really high rates of Facebook usage relative to all other social media. Now, this might be a little misleading in that, how many people actually have internet access and what are they doing. You can quibble with these numbers and I'm fine to talk about them more, but this just gave me a guide of how popular Facebook is in these countries. And it seems like Haiti and Liberia, it is just clearly dominating that social media scene. I wanted to dive into this further, so I went to alexa.com, which is a web traffic statistics site, and it lists the most popular websites in each country. And when I went to Haiti, I was really surprised to see that among the top were banking websites. You have Unibank, Sojabank, these sites where the primary function is for people to use banking services. This tells me that Haiti is already primed for some sort of online banking service. And in a country where these kind of services don't work that well, I'm imagining a well-functioning online currency is going to be incredibly popular there. So that gave me further confirmation that Haiti is going to be a key market for Libra coming up. So there's my argument for Haiti and Liberia being key markets when Libra launches. Now, this is a very simplistic argument. I've only taken into account remittances and inflation. There's nothing here about government regulation or the response to the government. And so maybe these places aren't going to be the governments could not be very welcoming to Libra. And so that's a whole nother aspect to cover. If you want to comment on that, let me know below. And really let me know what you think is going to be a key driver of adoption of Libra. Let's discuss that in the comments below, because I would love to explore this further and go look at other ways that we can predict the adoption of Libra. Please subscribe so that way you can stay tuned on more videos related to Libra and also just economics in general. We'll see you next time.